Yeah, so you did this for me about 15 years ago. So
Oh my. I'm so surprised you still have it. Oh wow.
yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, this is a part of Tameka. She obviously forgot, and I just wanted to bring this back to the fore and remind her and remind us that this is a very prolific artist, and the level of detail that she put into this painting is just fantastic. Tell us a little bit about when you got started drawing and what was your motivation for doing something like this. This is obviously a depiction of the Bahamas and one of our cultural events in the Bahamas, and it has the Bahamian colors, which I found to be very, very appealing. And I want you to also talk about this particular lady that you drew on here.
Okay, well, this is one of the dancers at the time from Saxons. I used to rush for
Yes.
Saxons at the time, and she and I rushed together. And I had a picture of her costume, and I asked her if I can paint it. And this is basically depicting water. That's the costume at the time. And basically, yeah, I painted, and this is the
So what
actual
was your
design.
motivation and when did you get started in the visual arts and this kind of art? You've been able to combine obviously this with what you're doing now, but tell us, what was your motivation for getting started painting?
Okay, with painting, basically, I started drawing and having an eye for objects at the age of 5. Um, I used to go by my mother's office and draw little objects on her from off her desk. And when I was older, my mother, knowing the type of work that I do, she encouraged me to do a class with
Uh-huh.
Kaishon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a portrait painting class, and it gave me the knowledge of how to go about layering faces
Uh-huh.
and painting facial
Expressions and
expressions,
so on.
right?
Uh-huh.
So basically, that's how I got started into doing painting on this level because before I just did paintings from sceneries, like
Uh-huh.
different
Have
scenes.
you ever had a show?
Never had a show, never had a
Have you
show.
produced the sufficient work for a show?
I have before, yes.
So what I know you told me earlier in a different at a different time that you spent some time away. Has that been able to impact any of your drawing and the kinds of work that the scenery? Tell us a little bit about the scenery that you like to capture, or because some folk, I'm a fluid artist. Some folk like landscapes, some people like buildings and so forth. What is it that you are interested in when you sit down to draw?
For me, it's beach scenes. I really like the beach scenes because I like the turquoise. I like the mixtures of the colors, and I don't even have to look at the beach to draw it. Sometimes it's just in my head, and I just draw and paint just like that. So that's my favorite. However, I can do others as well, and I am someone who I'm really into detail, so I have to get every little crease as much as possible when I do painting. So,
Well, we can certainly see the level of detail if you can pan in a little closer of this. Junkanoo is one of those cultural expressions that you must be able to capture every detail in order to appreciate the fact that this is cultural, and this painting, even 15, 16 years later, it is fresh and it's vibrant, and I like it, and it stands out every time. It's hanging in my office. I went to my office this morning and I got it out of my office, and every time someone come into my office, they immediately are drawn into this picture. You spent some time in Canada. Were you able to take these kinds of paintings to Canada? You talked about the beach scene. I know Canadians love the beach and love the waters here. Were you able to take this, and this is a good conversation piece. As a tourism major, were you able to take this kind of a painting into a different environment, an international environment, and talk about the culture?
Well, when I was in Canada, I did paintings. However, it was just based on hobby.
Uh-huh.
I didn't really do it to sell or to advertise. It's just something I did in my spare time because I had a lot of time on my hands.
Uh-huh.
And as a result, it it kind of pushed me out more to do more than I had anticipated doing before, you know.
So
So
when did your love for this kind of art turn into your love for this kind of art? I mean, and let's just rest this down for a moment. I want to continue to feature this, but what we can see, Tameka, is your ability to take this kind of art and produce this kind of art, and is fascinating. And obviously, if you didn't know that Tameka was an artist, a visual artist, a person who painted and drew, you would not you could not appreciate the fact that she's now doing this. But knowing that, I know that, I was happy to have you on the show to talk about your ability to bring these two kinds of artistic expressions together and to produce something like this. And the level of detail. In our earlier segment last week, we were talking about how Tameka put together these boxes and talking about the detail. Now you see where that came from. And I just want to ask you if, after your return from Canada, were you able to see any growth in the local art environment in the Bahamas? How do you think young artists are being persuaded to continue with their craft and move them into the sphere of actually earning a living from it? You've been able to do that because you've taken this and you've created this. So and you talked about some other things that you're going to be doing that we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes. But what are your thoughts about art in the Bahamas and young artisans?
I know in particular there are so many creative Bahamians out there, and a lot of people are working in jobs and not really showing off their talents. So I want to create platforms where people can be hired to do work that they are comfortable with, that they have knowledge of doing, that they can express their creativity. Because I came up with this design, but someone else who's creative may have an eye and say, okay, I'll do it a different way, but it still be a creative piece, you know?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And it's a good way to express your art. So what I think about the art here in the Bahamas, right now it's difficult to say, but as I push myself out, as I push this business out, I am getting feedback. And as a result, it seems like people are perceiving art on a different level. It's not like how it was
So they're
before.
now appreciating it a little bit more.
Yes.
And appreciating the love for local products and locally produced products. But more than that though, I think Bahamians, and I could speak for Bahamians in particular, are appreciating the level of craftsmanship that go into locally made products. And I think that is very important. A couple of shows ago, I talked about branding, and I'm going to have a whole show on branding in a little while. But the idea of putting your name on something and putting out the best product possible. Some time ago, we were concerned in the art world about everybody getting into art and doing things, but not necessarily having that finished touch. And as you spoke about, the level of detail that they put into something that they would want themselves.
Right.
And you can go in any big store anywhere in the world and be able to find something like this in the store. A friend of mine who is an architect said to me one time, he said, Sophia, what about scale? How do you scale up your products? And what we are talking about is the ability to reproduce your products for very, very large audiences. Have you had any conversations about being able to take your product? Right now it's a home-based business, and scaling it up so that you can make so a Kelly's or somebody comes to you and say, Tameka, we'd like to have 500 of these in our store. Are you able to produce that?
At this time, um, individually, I can produce 500. However, I do intend to expand before the year ends. I want to get a storefront and also have employees work where they can express their creativity through these boxes as well. You know, like I said, I want to create a platform for other creative people. So for some, I'm actually preparing myself for larger markets.
Okay, good.
And as a result, I have created bulk discounts to encourage people to buy in mass amounts so that I'll be able to hire people and have them work.
So we say that it's a home-based business. So do you have space for this? Going into a store can be very expensive.
Yes.
So do you intend to perhaps partner with another artisan who would be able to share in the expenses for you so that you can move it along? Oh, the thing about the Bahamas and Nassau in particular, it's a very small market. And duplication and copying is, they say, is the best form of flattery. So have you been able to copyright or pattern your designs so that we don't see it somewhere else? I'm sure some other people are doing some other kinds of things. In fact, I have another student who is doing something similar but not quite as elaborate as yours. Have you been able to pattern your box, and do you have the necessary space to do hundreds and hundreds of these?
At this time, I don't have the space to do hundreds and hundreds of these. However, with a mass order, for example, if I get an order now that requires 500 boxes, I have partnered with my community center.
Okay.
And I've spoken to the manager there, and they are all for me coming there just to use the facility to produce mass amount of boxes at this time.
That is very, very
Right.
generous of them. And that's the kind of partnerships that we want to engage in the country. And the part of this show is really an opportunity for me to highlight young artisans who are doing unique things, unique designs, people that you don't always hear about. And you are just that kind of person. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, Tameka is very, what should we say? She's very shy about her talent. She's a very talented young lady. In fact, she's wearing her art right now as well, because apparently she designed, can you just stand up for us? She designed this shirt that she has on. And I just wanted to highlight the fact that this is a multi-talented young lady, a multi-talented artisan who is intelligent, who she graduated from university and have found herself a niche in producing these wonderful boxes. Like I said, she started off painting and drawing this level of art. Now she's moved into this level of art, and we really want to encourage her. We want to encourage JC Designs. I want you to go on her Facebook pages.
Yes.
Tell us how we can find you again on the social media platforms. Order, support these young artisans.
Okay, I'm on JC Designs. You have a variety of pictures with different types of boxes, and you can also contact me on WhatsApp at 818-2571.
818-2571.
The reason why I prefer WhatsApp because it's in written form and it's basically for record keeping. So I prefer WhatsApp because everybody has it and it's very convenient, you know.
Before we end, you are getting into some new things. What is it that you want to leave the audience with in terms of what you are moving into beyond the boxes?
Well, I am bringing in some new things in the near future that would be other expressions of my creativity, but I don't want to get too much into detail at this point. But I can tell you this, a lot of local raw materials will be used in these products, where I use things like shells, things from the beach, to incorporate what we have here, all the natural resources that we have here in the Bahamas. It's basically what I'm going to be using in these pieces.
That's good enough for me.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been my pleasure to speak with Tameka Jones from JC Designs. And I'm just fascinated by how far you've come. And she was a wonderful, wonderful student some 15 years ago. We're dating ourselves, but that's okay. We're still very fairly young. And I'm so happy that she is now moving into full-time into the art arena, and we hope to have her back on the show when she brings to the market the new designs that she is working on now. So again, thank you very much for joining me on the conversation today, and we will see you soon. Next week we have a wonderful episode, and we want you to stay tuned for that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so happy to share with you today the lovely handmade, by myself of course, wine bottle carriers. These are from the Fluid Art collection, and they make beautiful gifts for the Christmas. You can just buy your wine and purchase one of these handmade wine carriers, and I've taken the liberty of adding some of my fluid art on each of the bags, so it makes them very unique and make wonderful gifts for your friends, and they can hold a very, very tall bottle of wine. So I'm happy with them, and I hope that you are happy with them as well. They're from the Fluid Art wine collection.